You're listening to the Real Estate Forum, where we talk all things real estate and have a good laugh along the way.
The Real Estate Forum podcast is back for a fourth episode, and apparently, if you make it to 5, you've made it in the podcast world. My name is Gavin Staindl, and I am joined by the Brent Day, Bidet. You ever been called Bidet before?
No, I haven't actually.
Bidet? Like the toilet, like when you wash your butt?
Yeah, I know what it is, but no, I've never used one either. Like we went to Vietnam over Christmas and the boys were loving them, and I just couldn't bring myself to doing it. So.
That's you. You're a bidet.
You would have used one before.
Oh, man, I use them frequently, even when I'm not using the toilet. So welcome back to the episodes of fourth episode. And I am excited. I was excited last week for Kyla, but personally, I'm excited this week because one of my mentors, my idols in real estate has actually come all the way from inner city to be in Pakenham for this fourth episode on this podcast. I'm actually a little bit tingly.
I'm very excited, mate. You know, nothing against Kyla. I have to say good things about her because
she's your girlfriend.
She is my partner. But the guest we have on is absolutely amazing. I've never met him before either, and always heard good things about him. And obviously his statistics speak for themselves as well. So super pumped to give the audience a massive insight of how he runs his business and how he's got to where he is today.
And before we announce who he is, let me just talk a little bit about what he is going to be talking about. Obviously, a bit of a background into who he is and what he's done. But the thing that everyone's been waiting and everyone has been wanting to know is how the hell do you win listings at the listing presentation table? And this guy that we've got on does it better than anyone else that I've ever seen.
See, that excites me because the one thing in real estate, I always say to the team, just list houses and they'll sell themselves. And if they don't sell themselves, there'll be a process around it that someone else will be able to tell you how to get it sold. But if you don't list them, guess what, Gav?
What?
You cannot sell the house.
Bang.
So,
that's words of advice.
Super excited.
We've talked about prospecting and door knocking, and then in the earlier episodes, how to get data. We've touched on nurturing that data into relationships and all well and good. But if you don't do those things, and then instead you get called out and you've got 3, 4, 5, upwards of 5 agents competing for the one listing, the one vendor, that one signature, what is it that you can do at the listing table to set yourself apart from everyone else? And I'm looking forward to the answer. Yeah. So without further ado, Brent, I want you to introduce our next guest.
Yeah, so
drum roll.
Yeah, drum roll, please. Can you actually put that in here? Our guest today is someone whose story defines resilience, innovation, and absolute execution. Arriving in Australia at just 18 with nothing but a hunger to learn, Kevin started out studying IT until a chance meeting introduced him to a great industry, being real estate. In just over a decade, Kevin has risen to become the director and chief auctioneer of Ray White's Bayside Group, earning his place among Australia's top 100 agents and ranking 4th in Ray White Victorian Tasmania top 10 salespeople. He built a powerhouse business on a 100% auction model, which I'll ask him about in a moment, where every campaign is designed to create competition, energy, and great results. Even when a property passes in, Kevin sees it as the perfect stage for negotiation. From working on the block in 2021 to mentoring the next generation of elite agents, Kevin's influence stretches far beyond the auction floor. His mantra, execution and consistency beats perfect planning. Today, we'll unpack the mindset, systems, and discipline behind his success and how he keeps auctions at the beating heart of his business. So whether you're an agent looking to sharpen your craft or a business owner chasing growth, this conversation is for you.
I love it how you can say that without writing it down.
Yeah, it's amazing.
As if you wrote it down.
Yeah, amazing. Straight from the heart.
So we're gonna introduce Kev, but before we do, quick acknowledgement and the sponsors. Brent, you want to cover off on them?
No, I know them off my heart now.
Good.
So we've got Greg. Greggy actually used to work with Kev in Ray White Cheltenham, the Bayside Group, I think it's called.
Where's he from?
He's from Apollo Auctions now, so general manager at Apollo Auctions. If you need one of the best auctioneers in Australia, he probably is the best, but give Greggy a call. Major sponsor of us now, and he'll be jumping on later with some insights from the weekend. Mm-hmm. We have the lovely Jade from 11 Financial, first home buyers, absolutely amazing to deal with from that aspect, or if you're looking at refinancing as well, she's absolutely amazing. And then we have the man, Douglas, our OG from day one.
OG from?
Adaptive Fire and Electrical.
You got it
Got you,
right,
Dougie.
mate. Well done.
Gotcha.
So I joked last week that we were the number one podcast, real estate podcast in the Southern Hemisphere. And then Craig said, Gavin, what are you, an idiot? We're the number one in the world. So sorry for underquoting us. Oh, shouldn't use that word. We are 24,000 views in the last episode. Thank you very much, Kyla.
Yeah, thanks, Kyla.
AKA Bidet's girlfriend. Yeah. And fantastic. She did really well. She did really, really well.
Glitter bomb.
If you haven't heard the third episode, listen to it because, yeah, the glitter bomb was fantastic.
The glamour bomb or glitter bomb?
Glitter bomb.
Glitter bomb.
She was a clusterfuck.
That's it.
Glitter bomb. Yeah, same thing. It's the same thing. All right, what are we doing? Why are we talking? We got Kev in here. Honestly, he's my idol. Let's cross to him right now. So, coming all the way from Bayside, Victoria to join us on this lovely podcast in Pakenham, Mr. Kevin Chokshi, thank you very much for coming on. I'm super excited, mate. And I just want to say before we get stuck into the questions, it's an absolute honor to have you here because you are actually one of my idols. Look up to you a lot.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
No worries, man. Hey, what do you think about Brent's?
Mate, that introduction was 10 out of 10. Like,
Thanks,
I don't know which AI gave you all the info, but it was like, it was solid. It was so good.
Straight from the heart, brother.
It was punchy, man. So I loved it. Thanks, brother.
good.
Appreciate it. Gave me goosebumps.
Good.
So
Thanks for having all those accolades, man. Like,
No.
you know, the block's pretty wicked and, you know, being top 100 and top 10. You know,
It's been good, man. I think, you know, what do they say? You want to find something in life you're effortlessly good at. And this is that for me. Like, I'm effortlessly good at it. I don't put it on.
Yep.
Like I say this to people when I recruit them in the business as in agents or other employees. I say this to clients. I'm the same at home. I'm the same at work. My energy is pretty consistent. I've known Gav for a long time now, but probably 10 years or so, more than 10 years, I think. And if you met me 10 years ago, if you met me today, I'm the same person. I'm pretty predictable. I'm a high green personality, so very predictable with who I am. If you meet me 12 months ago today, it's the same person over and over. And I think that's probably really important. And it's just something that comes naturally to me. Like what looks like work to people feels like play to me. So,
yeah.
so very lucky.
Let's go back then, Kev, because I'm pretty keen to find out a bit about who you are to begin with. As a kid, you weren't born in Australia, you came across here. Why did you come here and why did you start real estate?
Yeah, good question, man. So I was born in the Western province of India. You'd probably notice a lot of Indians and Chinese academic. Scores are very important. My score was terrible in year 12. I didn't have an appetite for school. My score was 41.26 or something insanely bad. And my parents spent a lot of time and money on my education and it just wasn't for me. So I couldn't get into any of the local universities because it's so competitive. You know, there's 1.5 billion people and majority of them are educated with degrees, double degrees. It's a highly competitive market and we were sort of looking at different options. I did a little bit of army training and then there was this education expo that some of the universities were running to attract overseas students. And so my dad saw the newspaper ad and he said, why don't we go and have a look? So we did, and there's a couple of universities and they had photos of Geelong. Deakin University were running one. And it was through, and University of Ballarat, and they were running this program where you study 12 months in India and then you move across. And it all kind of just, the way they laid it out made sense. And I thought this could be cool. And my dad's like, what do you think? Do you like it? And I said, I actually do. I think I'd never, the only place I'd seen, like I didn't even know where it was on the map. Like I didn't even know where Australia was, no context. Didn't even have a passport, never been overseas. My family's never been overseas. And sort of just decided to just jump in and do it and did my education there for 12 months. Got my visa sorted, $2,500 in my pocket, 2 bags of clothes, moved to Geelong. And I'll never forget this. It was 17th of August, 2006. And I get to Geelong. Well, I get to Melbourne, obviously. I spend the whole day at a temple there. I catch a V-line train. I nearly got on the wrong train and ended up in Ballarat. But then I find the right V-line, get to Geelong. And I get to Geelong train station at about 11:30 at night. And it is, I don't know if you've ever been to the Geelong train station, but it is just like a Harry Potter kind of train station, especially at night. There's no one. This is my first ever experience of leaving home by myself. And I come from the most populated place on the planet. And you land in Geelong and there is no soul. And I'm thinking I'm getting murdered tonight. Like there is just no one here. If I scream, no one will be able to hear me. And luckily I have one other guy who's also moved across with me. It was pretty crazy. got $2,500 cash in my pocket. Traveller's checks and cash. Couple of bags of clothes, nothing else, no phone number, not even a mobile to be able to call anyone. And I get to Geelong and it is cold in August. It is cold. And I come from the Western Province, which is very close to the Middle East. So my city where I grew up is about a 2-hour flight to Dubai. So 47 degrees in summer. I get to Geelong, the jacket I'm wearing is just not working. And I'm just freezing, hungry, tired, and scared. And I'm going, what have I done? How did I get to this point? Anyway, luckily this mate I was with, he knew a guy who was driving taxis and he called him and said, we don't know where to go. So he comes to the train station, takes us to his house. There's heaters and everything, and it was just so nice. He gave us food, gave us a bed for the night, introduced us to a couple of people who could give us some student accommodation, and that's kind of how the journey started. Finished my university degree. I could tell you hundreds of stories and different experience of what it's like to move to a whole new country, and it's like almost a whole different episode. And finished my IT degree, not enjoying it. Finished it, got my residency, decided this is the place I want to be. I'll stay here. Pretty interesting lesson. About 2 months in, I still couldn't find a job, and I was still struggling. A couple of my friends at university had already got jobs, and my confidence was tanked. I'm like, I don't think this place is for me. It's not quite working out. I'm still kind of learning the language, the lingo, the people. I don't know if I fit in. I don't have a job. I'm running out of money. I'm already in debt. What do I do? And I called my mum, and I'm just almost in tears. I'm like, I think I want to come back. And my mum's like, yeah, you should come back. Mum being mum.
Yeah.
And my dad picks up the phone and he goes, I've spent, like, they sold a property and stuff to send me across.
Yeah.
Like, I've spent, and he worked in a bank. I don't come from a rich family or anything. And he said, I've spent my lifetime worth of savings and my retirement on this. So once you make that money back, come back. And we kind of left it. And I was like, that's harsh, And I'm glad he did it. That was one of my first lessons in leadership, that it was just what I needed. And I pushed through another month and another 2 months, and then success kind of came. And then from there, I finished my university degree. I was doing odd jobs, pizza shops, petrol stations, car washes, all that sort of stuff. And there was this servo where I used to work in the evenings, and there used to be this regular customer who used to come, and one day she was suited up, and we start, just sparked a conversation saying, what do you do for work? How's your day? And she said, I work in real estate. And I said, well, how do you find it? And she said, it's really good. I'm in property management, but I think you'll be very good in sales. And I said, oh, how do I get in? And she said, I'll run to my car. I'll give my boss's number. Just call her and say, you know me, and try and get an interview. And I said, okay. So I just naturally just called her, and Joe Boothroyd at Ray White Lara happens to then obviously hire me. And she said, go and do your course. She gives me a job, and that's kind of how the journey begins. So I didn't really choose real estate. Real estate chose me.
Yeah, right. So you're a Geelong boy originally.
Yep.
Didn't realise you were out at Lara.
Yep. Lara or Corio, actually. Yeah. Or Norlane. So when you said coming out this far, I actually come out, like the average sale price back then was $160,000.
Wow.
Very sort of middle-class suburb. A lot of commission housing as well, so very humble beginnings. Started in a market that was predominantly private sales. So very, very different to where I operate now.
Actually, let's talk about that then for a moment, because that transition happened. You've gone from, probably a lower socioeconomic area, high volume, probably a different diversity of backgrounds there as well.
Yep.
And you've transitioned from a volume agency in a low, on high turnover, low socioeconomic area to a low turnover in a high socioeconomic area. How the hell did you make that transition?
I think it was probably a blessing in disguise, because I think coming out of that market, I understood volume. And most agents in the market where I first moved to Cheltenham didn't understand volume, because the average home was $1 million or whatever. So they sold one house that was enough to pay off their retainer, and they never quite understood the volume like I did, whereas I needed 4 or 5 deals just to be able to keep my head above the water. So that was probably a big blessing, and I just focused on volume. So sort of like what we were talking off air before, number of appraisals, more phone calls, and a large amount of consistency. I think consistency is just so underrated. Enthusiasm is so underrated. I think skill sometimes is highly overrated. Like if you can sell 2 houses, you can sell 200 houses. The process is the same, doesn't change, right? So then why do most agents, what does the average agent in Australia sell? About 20 homes a year, I think, 15 to 20 homes a year.
I'd say so, yeah.
So that's about 1.5 a month. if that. And yet, like for the last, I was talking to my wife the other day. For the last 5 years in a row, I've sold over 100 homes. Last year, I sold 117 properties.
It's amazing.
Which is unheard of in our market. Like I think the second biggest agent probably sells 50, 60 properties.
Especially with the cost of houses, right? So I think your average sale price is about $1 million, just over $1 million.
Yeah.
And 100 transactions at that, like that's mega money. And going back to what you just said about you're used to volume in Lara.
Yeah.
So when you come out to the Bayside area, you had that expectation that it was probably on the back of your mind. If you're not having this volume, you're not working hard enough, or you're not.
I just felt guilty.
Yeah. I had
I really did.
I had that same experience because I was an assistant for 5 years, right? And we were doing 130 to 150 deals every year. And when I went out to work as my own agent, I was like doing 40 to 50, and I'm like, God, I'm the shittest agent ever. I've got so much time on my hands. Stop being a lazy and, really kick on with it, or you're going to hate yourself and you're going to hate your job. So, but when you get back to that volume, it's like, oh, maybe you're not as bad as what you think you are.
Yeah.
And you would have felt that going to Cheltenham.
But it was just survival. Like when I
Yeah.
first came, I thought this is what I need to do to be able to survive. And the other thing I thought of was if I just do this much and if I just outdo, like I'm not going to beat them by doing less. So I thought if I just do more than everyone else, eventually it has to work, right? So I moved Cheltenham, which is like 120 k's from Geelong, completely different, no sort of connection to the two markets. Ray White wasn't a very well-known brand in the area. The previous owners, they'd been there a long time, good business, but they were sort of on their way out, wanting to retire, just transitioning through life. And when we started, there wasn't much to sort of begin with. New agency, new profile, some big competitors. They still are. Some strong competition in the market, just like there always is. So I just thought if I consistently just do things so I thought I worked on three main things. I thought if I do 200 letterbox drops a day, 50 phone calls a day, like that's kind of, to me, that was just made sense. So if I do 50 phone calls a day, 5 days a week, that's 250 phone calls a week. That's 1,000 a month, 12,000 a year. And if I do 200 drops a day, that's 1,000 a week, 52 weeks in a year, that's 52,000 drops. So I thought if I do 12,000 calls, 52,000 drops, and I collect 10 new bits of data, which over 6 months, 6 to 8 months, I should have a full database. It's just impossible. People aren't going to know who I am.
100%.
If I do it consistently, regardless of what. Like I didn't focus on becoming a one-day hero and do 5,000 one week and try and catch it like that. I just thought if I just do it all the time, like same as anything, right? You do something, no matter how good something is, people forget because the next best thing comes and the next best thing comes. So I think consistency is so underrated. And I had a lot of enthusiasm. I just had so much excitement because I was enjoying it, right? I was enjoying.
Well, you had a job.
I had a job. Life was good. Market was good. It was all exciting. New place, new people. So I think the enthusiasm was very infectious.
What do your parents think of you now?
Yeah, very good, man. They're very proud. My dad unfortunately passed away, but he was very proud. My mum's obviously very proud. Sometimes she sees stuff and she's still in disbelief. You know what's weird? She watches my content. Sometimes I'll open up Instagram and there'll be 50 likes on there when she's gone on a rampage. And I'll ask her, what did you see? And she can't understand what I'm saying.
Oh,
Yeah.
She's like, I didn't understand most of it. Like she can speak very basic sort of communication English and she's like, I don't know, but it just feels good. It's nice to watch. Very humble beginnings. It's kind of, I think, I'll tell you what she's most proud of. Naturally, I've been successful in real estate, so she's very proud of that. But she's more proud of the fact that I've got a pretty well-rounded life. I think that's what she's more proud of. So we still visit, go back home. My wife's been there several times. My kids have been there. I've got a really good family life. I'm home most days at a reasonable time. I spend time with my wife, my kids. We do a few holidays every year. I'm good at work. I love what I do. I spend enough time on my family. I spend enough time with my parents. I look after myself. I'll do meditation. I'll do breathing. I'll go to the gym. Like I've got I'm not like I'll have a drink obviously here or there, but I'm not like off track as in success hasn't gotten to me where I've become an addict or I've found kind of alternative sources to keep my enthusiasm at a certain level. So I think she's more proud. Like I did a lot for my dad. My dad was on dialysis. He had kidney failure. So And because he's not an Aussie citizen, when you do dialysis, you have to pay cash. And I kept inviting them over to spend time with me and my kids and my family and my wife. And each dialysis, at one point, I was paying $700 a pop. So two a week, that's $1,500 if you stayed here for 2 months.
Yeah.
That was, you know, it's $10,000-$12,000 plus flights and stays. And I sent him on a 2-month holiday to Europe while doing dialysis. So we had to plan his trip while they could do dialysis in every city. And I'm so glad I did, because no one knows, right, that something's going to kick off and he's going to die. So I think I've got a really healthy balance. I think, and I know there is a real narrative. You can find success, but then not have a balance. And I think success, like they should go hand in hand. Like success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. They sort of should really work together. Yeah. And I'm always constantly trying to review that to go, is every bucket feeling pretty full? Because otherwise you can't have this big financial tree that looks beautiful, but then the rest of the garden's dead.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think that's probably something she's very proud of. So it's my long answer to your short question, Gav.
I love it. I like the metaphor.
I love, like, especially hearing it from an agent, one of his proudest things he does with his money was help his dad out.
Yeah, that's cool.
And, you know, took him on an overseas trip for 2 months. Like, that's amazing, man. Like, most people say, oh, you know, I bought this house or I bought this car, you know. But you can see that you've obviously had some absolutely amazing parents, mate. And they've brought up a perfect human being as well.
He's a rat bag.
That's you know, just hearing that, like, we don't hear that from agents enough.
Yeah.
And, you know, just sitting here and fucking hearing that.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's made I'm like, I'll come here and, you know, that's the one thing I find out is actually, there's good agents out there.
Yeah,
Not all like Gav.
Kev's one of the good ones. Kev's one of the
No,
good
mate,
ones.
I think you want to enjoy things, right? You want to do it for a long period of time. You want to enjoy the ride.
Yep.
Like, I feel like the day I don't enjoy this, I'll give up. It doesn't matter if it
Yep.
pays 50 grand or 500 grand. It doesn't matter, right? I think you kind of want to, it's like, it should feel like a beautiful adventure rather than being trapped in a cage.
100%.
And I think a job can really quickly feel like a cage if the people around you, like everything else is not lining up. So for me, it's always kind of just trying to rewire it. And I always talk about my Zen a lot, about maintaining my Zen, maintaining my flow. And if someone messes, like I'd have this conversation with someone and say, you know, like certain things fuck with my Zen and I can't allow that.
Yeah.
And you know how much time I spend on my flow and my Zen,
Yeah.
and you fucking with my Zen, and if that constantly happens, we're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
And I've learned to really set clear boundaries without being offensive with people. And I think it's just being protective of that to go, how do I protect my mental headspace? Because I'm the tectonic plate that my whole world rests on. My kids, my wife, there's 63 people in the business, all these clients, you know, my family overseas, all the rest of it. Like one of the ideas I had at the start of the year, well, I had a couple of years ago, we were going to build a house in a couple of years. And I said to my wife, I said, you know, I'd love to have my aunties. My mum's got 3 other sisters and I spent a lot of time in their homes growing up. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool to bring them out here and for them to stay with us in my home and see our life here? And they've never, 2 out of 4 have never been overseas, don't even have a passport. And the oldest is close to 80. So, and after everything happened with my dad, a year and a half ago, my wife said, why wait? What if, you know, the 80-year-old something happens or whatever? So January this year, we decided, hey, I said to them one day, I said, I'd love to have you over for a month and a half, whatever works. I'll pay for your visas, your flights, your accommodate, everything. You don't have to do nothing. Just pack your bags, come. So we've just applied for their visas. It's in the process and they'll most likely come in December. And I want to show them here. Like I want them to see, like I didn't just... Yeah, absolutely. I want to bring him out to Pakenham to say, this is where you really live. Like this is where the action happens.
That's good. And going back to what you were saying about you know, your Zen and, you know, that's the key about culture. Like you look at all these good sporting clubs, right? They might have Carlton, great example, superstars in their football team. Their culture's shit. Like their coach even said that at their awards. But if you have the right culture, you can literally do anything. And I'm guilty of doing that. You know, sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm down. And when I mature, I hope I'll, you know, be just at a normal level like you said you are. So culture's massive, especially in this game too.
You kind of have to focus on it, right? It's like anything else. It's sort of like, you know, when you start out in this industry And all three of us do extraordinarily good numbers. And yet early on, we all would have faced the same challenge, which is you have good months, bad months, good months, bad. You're riding this real weird wave. You list a lot of properties because you're focusing on prospecting, and you list them and you go, shit, I need to sell everything. So then you focus on selling. So then you have a shit listing month. Yeah. And then that's that high and low. And then you go, at some point I want to even this out a little bit more. Like, of course, not every month's going to be the same, but I don't want to have like a huge $300,000 a month and then nothing month next month. Very hard to plan a life like that. And I think you kind of, and it's the same like you said about the Carlton Footy Club, same as any business. Like a team full of champions is not the same as a championship team.
100%.
Two very different things.
Yeah, good analogy.
So then run me through, obviously going back to your initial work at Cheltenham where you're making those 50 calls a day and the 200 letterbox drops, which I think is awesome, by the way, because a lot of agents, they want to get to that shiny top of the mountain, but they don't put in those kind of work. You've done that. How did your brand evolve to what it is now, and what does it look like now for you?
100%, man. So now obviously it's very different. I focus on three main things: listing, selling, and vendor management. Yep. That's kind of my key areas. I don't do anything else. I don't check my emails. They're managed by someone else. Naturally, they get managed properly. Any admin stuff, production stuff, if I've got stuff, I can divert my phone to someone else. So it's really, really well set up, and I get to do things I enjoy the most, and they're the most dollar productive for me. So I've kind of broken down things into tasks, like what's a $200 an hour job, what's a $100 an hour job, what's a $5 an hour job, and then I've kind of found the right people to go, this is probably a VA job, so I'll allocate a VA resource to it, but then this is more management job. Is it my team manager or business manager needs to do it? So internally for my listing and selling side, that's kind of the main things I focus on. From a business standpoint, I do have two other business partners. The parts I focus on is talent hunting. So our business went from 2019, pre-COVID, we're probably a $2 million business. Next financial year, we'll probably do $7 to $8 million. So 2024, we did $6.5 million. So we basically tripled our business.
Is that the office mate or team?
The office.
Yeah, wow.
So the big focus for me was to grow the office and the business.
Yeah.
So I started just headhunting people and recruiting them. So our recruiting, so we basically took almost every number one agent from the market, and they're all as a part of the Bayside group
Massive.
now.
So you've become a business of attraction.
Spot on.
How'd you do that?
I think consistency is a big part. So it's very easy to stand out if you're consistent. It's the same messaging, same stuff over and over again. Really good marketing as well. So again, consistency. We have our brand pillars: elegant, consistent, intelligent. So making sure everything looks really good. Same sort of stuff as what you guys do. Really good marketing.
Say that again.
Really good videos. Elegant, consistent, intelligent.
What does that mean?
It means everything we put out, how we approach things, just has to be done elegantly.
Yep.
Very consistent with everything else. So everything should be in really good sync. It's sort of like you're not going to serve noodles and pizza together on a plate. It's not consistent. They both might be individually very tasty dishes, but
It's a good one.
I'm getting hungry.
and me too. So just a level of consistency. And intelligent means like you'll never see a piece of marketing go out of my office that says, "Do you want a free appraisal?" or "Considering selling, call us." Like how
Thinking of selling ?
Correct. Or like an Instagram post. Like I wonder, the agents put thinking of selling, call me, how many phone calls they've had from that Instagram post. Because I would just wonder. It'd be interesting. So just trying to put a bit more thought into it. Like 100%. how do we intelligently approach stuff? Our language in all our marketing is very much reflective of that. So how do we approach that stuff? And it's not perfect. Nothing ever is, but it's just a constant evolution. So that's been a big part of it. Again, consistency with our behavior. So for example, you have conflicts, you lose a listing, a competitor says something to you, like, again, keeping it very elegant, consistent, intelligent, not engaging. So being very predictable in the market. So the market rewards that a lot.
Yep.
You have a situation with someone, they call you, they rip into you, say, yep, sorry, move on, and don't engage. And I think it's a lot of that is not what we did, it's what we didn't do. Like a lot of it's what I didn't do is what helped a lot in terms of attracting some incredibly good people. Like Angela was the first recruit, then Trevor was Buxton's number one agent. He joined us. Then we got Lauren Chambers, again, very special, 17 years of the same brand.
She's dominating.
Dominates it. Like her market share in the $3 million plus properties, 54%.
Wow.
Like ridiculous. And 17 years in the same company. So to get that kind of a person was really special. Her assistant is my old assistant. And the way when she left after 3 years at the time of my life, it was very frustrating. And the way I handled that exit dictated without me realizing the next move. I didn't know that she would join Lauren, and I didn't know how instrumental she would be in bringing Lauren back or making Lauren join us.
It's amazing.
And so a lot of these things, they're all these pieces kind of when you look ahead, they don't quite add up the dots, but then when you look back, they all seem to connect somehow. So I think, yeah, there's a lot to be said. And then obviously Aiden joined, Chloe Barry joined, Genevieve Hill now. Some titans, some iconic people.
Kev, we're just going to take a quick break, but on the other side, I want to get stuck in deep about listing presentations. Yep. We are still joined by Kev Chokshi, and we've heard some absolute pearls of wisdom, some really cool stories. But the thing that I think a lot of people are eager to hear about, Kev, is how you list so well in such a competitive market. So let's break down the listing presentation. First and foremost, before the listing presentation, the call out, what happens there for you?
I think call out's about two main things, in my opinion. One is enthusiasm, energy, connection. Like, they've almost got an impression of who you are as they speak to you on the phone. So not that I really put it on, like that. I just talk to them as if I normally talk to anyone else. But the second part is information, right? You want to be ahead and try and find out everything you can beforehand. So I'll ask them for their full name, their details, beds, baths, their timelines, what their situation is. Do they have kids? Do they have a dog? Like, for example, if they have a dog, I'll rock up with the dog treats. I'll always offer them a coffee on my way to say, would you like a fresh barista-made coffee? And I'll turn up with a couple of coffees.
Yep.
Because it's just nice, right? I feel like food, coffees, drinks, like we are just wired to naturally connect with people over food or drinks. That's just what happens. Like, you can turn someone into a best mate if you have a beer with them. Like, you could have never met this person before, and you have a coffee or a drink with them or a beverage with them, and suddenly you feel like, oh, you know, it's everything just becomes an easy conversation. So I always try and involve the coffee, find out a bit more about the property. Have they made any improvements? Is there something they're very proud of? I'll try and find out what are they hoping for. Have they seen any, like, one of the ways I'll find out is, have you seen anything similar that has recently sold? Because they'll say, oh, I'm not sure. But then I say, have you seen anything similar to your property that's recently sold? And they say, oh, I saw one across the road, or I saw one 3 streets away on this street, and mine's a little bit better, but that had this. And I've got a reference point now in terms of what they might be considering and thinking. Mm-hmm. My marketplace is relatively educated, so they'll know generally, even if they don't tell me, they'll know what they want. So I'll just walk in prepared as one possibly can. But just information gathering, confirming details. Will I be meeting just themselves or anyone else? It's always important to know, so I can address both of them.
Yep.
And the second thing, so you said there was 2 things. The first one, or did you cover both?
Connection.
Yep.
So enthusiasm and connection.
Yep.
So like, I think if you have a laugh on the phone, what they're up to today, are they working? Are they watching the game on the weekend? You know, if they're not at the property, where do they live? It's just, hopefully you have a good connection point before you even go in the door.
Do you have like a pre-listing kit?
I do. So as soon as I hang up the call, I've got an app called MT. It's templates app. So I've got 6 or 7 templates that I can just send a message on the go. So I've got a listing confirmation text. So they'll just say, again, my language in that text is very reflective of how I'd speak. And it will just say, hey, Gav, thanks for your time on the phone today. I'm really excited to be working with you. And I'll see you on this day and time. Have a lovely day. Attached to that is an Instagram link.
Oh, your Insta?
And the reason off a particular video.
Yep.
Could be an auction, could be something else. And the reason I've done that is, I feel like a client is more likely to click on an Instagram link than they are on a realestate.com profile.
Yeah, 100%.
And so a lot of times, and then once they click on something, it's pretty addictive, right? They'll start to scroll, they'll do a full stalk before I even got there. And because of the content that's there, which is again, elegant, consistent, intelligent, they've got a pretty good feel of who I am, how I do things. Like, if they watch some videos, they almost, you know, it's like you meet someone and you've consumed their content and you almost feel like you already know them.
And
even if you...
Yeah, we had that, like, when we first met. Gav said exactly the same thing. You know, it's like you know someone. It's a online job interview, really.
100%.
Social media, yeah.
So they'll get an Instagram link along with that, and most people will click on it. If I happen to book it on a Thursday, Friday, or a Wednesday, for example, for the following week, I'll make it a point to invite them to an auction that Saturday before I even meet them, especially if I've got something similar. If I don't have anything similar, I'll still say every Saturday I'll have an auction or a few. So I'll say, why don't you come to an auction? What are you doing this Saturday if you're around?
Yep.
And I think it's just, I listed one last week in a suburb called Hampton East where I spoke to her on the phone and I said, I'll see you next week. I'm very excited. I'm looking forward to seeing you next week, but I'd love to invite you to an auction just so you can see how I operate, how my team operate, what we do. I think it'll be very useful in your choosing an agent and your whole process.
And so you're doing that before you even meet them.
Before I've met them, and then I'll obviously send them a text with the address, and then I will also do a scheduled message on a Saturday morning, because Saturday morning texts absolutely hit the spot. And even if they've forgotten about it, they go, oh, I'll just ring past, and have a look. Because if they come and watch you put on a bloody good performance, it's almost I feel like it's almost impossible to beat me if someone comes and watches a bloody good auction. Like, we put on a fucking show.
And you walk into that listing like, I'm the fucking man.
That's it, 100%. Your confidence is different. And then we drop off a welcome pack. So the welcome pack contains a box of Lindt chocolates. There's a document called Kevin Chokshi, The Chance Encounter, which is my story, my team, a bunch of my awards, list of tradespeople, a few other bits of information for them to review before I meet them.
Yeah. I love the chance encounter, by the way. I actually kind of stole a bunch of ideas and used it for myself. Loved it.
Awesome, mate. Thank you.
Never given you credit for it. All right, cool. So that's really cool. I love that. What was that app as well you said you used?
It's called Templates.
Templates.
Like there's an icon that just reads MT, but it's Templates.
MT.
Templates
All right.
app, yep.
Great. So that's fantastic. So recapping, I've got a lot of information from them. You've got a small connection just over the phone. You then send them a text. In that text is your Instagram profile. They're clicking on that because it is a little bit, well, you send me a link to an Instagram. Click on that. They start to connect with you even though you're not doing anything. It could be 9 o'clock at night time in their bed and you're connecting with them. Secondly, then on top of that, you invite them to an auction. So you get to see them in person. They get to watch you at your peak.
100%.
Game day, auctions, you're strutting the stuff, you're calling the auctions, you're knocking the hammer down. So before you've even walked into this appraisal, you've shown them what you're capable of, and they feel like they've connected with you.
100%. And they see my whole team, so they don't just see me, right? On a listing pitch, they just see me.
Yes.
They see 4 or 5 other people. They get greeted at the front door. I'll give my team a heads up. They always know that there's going to be prospects I've invited coming to auctions, so they're on the A game, They'll like when people come in and say, would you like a coffee? We've got a coffee van outside. What coffee do you want? And we'll make them feel extra special. And they'll always come and tell me, because a lot of times I don't know what these people look like. 100%. So they'll say, hey, such and such, we've checked them in. They said, you meeting them next week. And I'll walk over, I'll make it a point to make sure they feel special. I'll talk to them. I'll obviously put on a good show. And as soon as the auction's done, I'll always walk up to them and say, hey guys, thanks for coming today, all that sort of stuff. So it's just frequency builds trust, right? So I've already had 4 or 5 connection points before I've even seen their house. And it's going to take someone's absolute might to then try and beat me, especially if I put on a good show. Like this one I listed, they came to the auction and it was a funny auction because there was this smart ass buyer that kept making $5,000 bids. And I shut him down. I placed a $100,000 vendor bid on top, and I did it twice because I knew I had bidders in the crowd. And these guys loved it. They said, we want an auctioneer that can just control the crowd and get us the best outcome, not some order taker.
Yeah, that's
because they've seen a lot of auctions and go, most auctioneers just would have crumbled and gone, oh, well, no one else is bidding, I'll just take it. And I said, we're not for sale at that number. We know we're near where we need to be. Just bang, bang, bang. I just kept pushing back, and it was like it was just easy, right? So I was most expensive. My marketing is typically around $9,000 to $9,500, which is more than the average in our market, and yet I'll just get it because once they believe in it, they see it. It kind of then makes my listing pitch a lot easier.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's run through that listing pitch.
Yeah. So I'll get to the property. I'll normally confirm the appointment on the day. Obviously, coffees, dog treats if I need to. I'll sit down. My preference is to sit down with them before I do the house tour. Hopefully, I've got a previous connection point if they've seen an auction, And then I'll sit down and talk about the day, try and build a bit of a connection. Like one time I took this rookie with me to a listing presentation and he thought he was going to discover a silver bullet, and we spoke about maths for 40 minutes and he couldn't believe it. And he's like, is that your fucking listing presentation?
Married at first sight.
Married at first sight, because everyone loves a good bit of juicy maths, right? And we just kind of just chatted and we connected over maths, and it was just hilarious. And then I gave her a price, and I kind of just ran through some timelines, marketing, and signed up the property. And he was just in disbelief, and he was trying to work out if I had a prior relationship with her, and I said no. But it's like the part sometimes people don't understand is this game is 80% psychology, 20% mechanics. We get so caught up on the mechanical part, but the mechanical part's not where you're going to really win, because everyone's got the mechanical part. Everyone's got, like, the typical presentation. We've got the best photographer. We like corner angles so we can make your house look bigger. We go on realestate.com. We do domain. We are premier listing. I don't know, man, whatever else, boards, brochures. Like, what's so special about that? Like, why, how do you pick an agent, right? But psychologically, if you nail them and you've got them on board, it's very hard to copy, because they can copy my presentation, which is why I'm so happy to share it, but no one can copy my swag within the presentation and how I deliver it. And I think storytellers are the most powerful people in the world, because they force people to take action.
Do you ever get nervous in a listing?
Of course.
All the time, same.
Yeah. So, like,
Do you?
All the time,
You
man.
just get nervous.
yeah, like,
Yeah, right.
depends on how much that listing means to me. And if I'm in my comfort zone or not. There is, like, same as auctions, right? I don't get nervous doing an auction because I've done thousands of them. But then what that auction means to me. If I have if the client's got a situation that
Yeah.
is a bit curly, then that's what makes me nervous, because then I get attached to the outcome.
Yeah.
And whenever I get attached to the outcome, I get nervous. And weirdly, it never quite works. If
I
I'm
get attached to the
when
outcome.
I'm not attached, and which most of the times, and I'm just in my free, relaxed Zen flow, is when everything just really goes well.
Yeah.
As well.
I feel like
So you get nervous.
Yeah, like, so when I'm a bit weird. Like, when I'm on, like, I think I'm unbeatable, and when I'm off, man, I think, like, day one, agent could come in and make me look like I've never sold a house before. Like, it's crazy. That's why I asked him, because I'm like, I'd love to hear it from other people, like, if they get nervous too.
I wonder. Yeah.
I've moved markets a lot,
Yeah,
even within the market. So, like, I think if I'm in a new market, naturally you're a bit nervous, right? Because you go, I really want to know, like, what I'm going to be up against and stuff like that. Whereas if it's in a core market where I've sold hundreds of properties and I know everything so well,
Yep.
you naturally, so it's very circumstantial.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
100%.
But then, yeah, man, I've got a bit of an agenda. I obviously don't put an agenda in front of them, but a mental agenda. So I'll ask them, again, that psychological approach. We'll sit down, find out a bit of information, build a really good connection. And I'll generally get to, like, understanding them. So I'll ask them, what's going to be most useful today? That's what I ask them. What's going to be most useful today for you?
Do you have that silver bullet that your associate was talking about? Do you have, like, a closing line or a theme or something that you do to really tie it all back together and win the business? Or is it just you connect with them?
I'll connect with them, man. I'll put the calendar. Calendar's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Because through the duration, I'll do a number of calendar closes. My energy is probably the silver bullet, to be honest.
Yep.
I think when you go in and my body language, my energy, and how I present and what I do and how they feel, and that's probably the silver bullet.
Yep.
To be honest, the rest of the content's good. Like, I'll talk about myself, I'll talk about the company, my track record, what I do. I generally follow, and I used to do a little bit of DJing, funnily enough, back in the day.
DJ Kev.
DJ Chalk in the house, yeah. And I'm actually doing a presentation next in Feb next year in Sydney, and I'm trying to get the girls to design, like, a PowerPoint. And I've got this idea, and I said, why don't we mix it up? I want to make it fun. So we're designing this theme. It's called Chokflix instead of Netflix. It's like the presentation starts, and it's like looks like the Netflix profiles, and it says Chokflix, and then you select, sales, property management. You select a profile, and inside that we're gonna have, like, mini, like, almost like shows, where there could be different topics, and you click on one, it's like, that whole Netflix, but it'll be like same format, but it'll say Chokflix. So that's an idea I've got.
That's
So
awesome.
let's see how
I like that.
let's see how it plays out.
Get up there and scratch some vinyls for the crowd.
Yeah. But the thing I'd learned from DJing is the beats, right? So everything is in multiples of 4. So I try and have 3 to 4 things, not too much.
Yeah.
So anything I talk about, it's like, okay, there's 3 main methods of selling. If we're going off market, there's 3 outcomes that can happen. Right, so, like, I'll always talk about 3 or 4 things, and it's just very simple, less is more, but it's hopefully memorable enough, and it's beautifully, like, less information but beautifully packaged.
Yep.
I think that's kind of the key goal. I don't overcomplicate stuff. I think sometimes one of the errors I used to make in the early days was I wanted to win the business so badly that it was like I gave them so much that they remembered nothing at the end.
Same.
Like, and it's like, I remember the first time there was this guy called Adam Armstrong, and he taught me a lot. This was back in my Geelong days. And he was funny because he knew a lot, except he didn't implement it. He wasn't much of an executioner, but he knew everything, and he taught me a lot. And I went to a listing press, and I was so nervous, and I kept talking, and I did a long presentation. I talked about everything I knew, and we finished. And I said, how do you think I went? And he said, you need to shut the fuck up, man. Like, it was too much. And I think that was the best advice I got, because it was like, I was just coming on so strong, whereas now I'm in my natural sort of habitat. I'm relaxed. I've got a good flow. I've got some really sexy information that I show them, I put forward, and it's nice, touchy-feely. It kind of hits every bit of personality for other people too. So, yeah, very different aspect, man.
Yeah, good, man. Well, thank you very much, Kevin. We'll probably just throw back to you over the course of the rest of the potty. We want to get Jade Murphy on from 11 Financial just to get all the latest financial news and what's going on around the world. Is she on the phone, Craig?
Welcome back, Jade 11 Financial, our number one. I can't call that number one sponsor, can I? Jade, your top 3 sponsors of the show. So
Number one broker.
there you go, number one broker sponsor. How's your week been? And she lives in the Gold Coast, man. So she's living it up there. Probably some acai bowls in the morning and some strawberry matches. I reckon Jade would be devouring up there while we're stuck in this cold weather. So how's the finance game going, and much busyness since October the 1st, or any more busy? Should be the
Week
correct
has
English.
been great. As you know, a lot of my business is down in Victoria. So I feel like things are really starting to boom and heat up down there off the back of a somewhat slow, probably, let's say 2 years. My business, we're writing a large number of pre-approvals over the last couple of months at the moment that I can't say are converting as usual. I think my clients are finding they are putting in multiple offers on properties, and they're just getting outbid, or there isn't listings available for the kind of properties they're looking for, which I guess is proof of that lack of listings that we're hearing about in the market at the moment.
Let's talk about the pre-approvals, Jade. I've heard that the pre-approvals return time for the pre-approvals to come back, that was really, really poorly said, has just blown out completely. CBA, I think, is like 15 plus days to get a pre-approval back.
I think it depends on what bank you're using, to be honest. I had a pre-approval today come through in half an hour.
Oh, wow. Like a fully assessed one?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, okay, that's good. But you're seeing obviously a lot more requests from first home buyers for pre-approvals. Is that right?
A lot of first home buyers, a lot of upsizers too. Like a lot of people that are, I guess just starting to want to move, want to upgrade their home. I think everyone's hearing about the market heating up and interest rates have gone down a little bit. So people are just more confident in general to start making their next move.
Yep. We've seen 7 days since that policy enactment, October 1, and we talked about it on our last episode. Have you seen much in the wake of that last 7 days?
A lot.
Run us through it.
A lot. We had, I think it was about, by the time the 1st of October came around, there was 9 applications just waiting for the date to tick over for us to hit submit.
Really? So what was the policy again? Talk us about the policy again.
No income caps for clients. So that has been a major one, because if you've got a tradie, for example, that's on, say, 95 grand base and gets 35 grand in overtime, he wouldn't qualify for the scheme. Whereas now there's no income caps. The property price caps have increased. And to confirm off our discussion last week, it's not 1.2 million in Sydney, it's 1.5.
Wow, as a first home buyer.
Yeah.
I thought real estate agents made good money, but I can 1.5 as a first home buyer.
Yeah, in Sydney, 1.5 is the cap.
Jade, correct me if I'm wrong here. Like, in regards to this new announcement, it's great for the first home buyers that are currently in the market. It's great for mortgage brokers. It's great for estate agents. Do you see this pushing property prices up? And then my next question is, is this actually a good policy to fix the system that we've got at the moment?
That's a short question with a long answer. So I will try and summarize my opinion as well as possible. I think, is it going to push property prices up? Absolutely. As I've said previously, I think especially in that, high 700s mark where previously they had to keep it under that 800 mark. I think they've got the capacity now to offer 810 and be more competitive on a property that they would have been offering a max of 799 for a month ago. So yes, I think property prices are going to go up because at the end of the day, it comes down to supply versus demand. Is it going to fix the overall system? Look, it's going to help a lot of people get into the market, but it's also, on the other hand, going to make a lot of people reduce their chance of ever getting into the market, in my opinion.
And we're talking that next generation, right?
Yeah, correct. I speak to many first home buyers who aren't necessarily ready to purchase yet, and I give them a purchase plan and stuff like that they can action over the next, say, 12, 18, 24 months. And I'm starting to float the idea with a lot of them of purchasing an investment property that's more affordable somewhere else, because where they want to live, the quality of the property they want to live in is starting to become that little bit too far out of reach, that it's like, look, you are either choosing between purchasing a property and not.
Yep. And do you see this being a problem for, say, for example, one of these first home buyers, whether it's $1.5 million in Sydney, or they've bought a property for $900,000 in Victoria with a 5% deposit? Do you see, like, obviously, if interest rates do swing back up, that being an issue with it's $4,500 a month repayments? That's a lot of money for first home buyers.
I think people could feel the pinch. However, I don't see it being any greater than those who probably stretched their budget back when they could lock in a 1.98 fixed rate.
Yep.
And then have ended up with, rates of the low 6 percentiles, 6.5 percentiles. That is what makes the really big difference. I think where we're going to see the floor rate next year with the RBA, I think the movement up and down from there on isn't going to be as substantial as what we saw over the past couple of years post-COVID.
Good comment. Well, look, I think it's an interesting one from a policy perspective. I think, obviously, the 15 years I've been in real estate, I've just been watching the government put on new policy after new policy, whether it's stamp duty concessions, whether it's first home buyer grants, whether it's no income caps. It's just like they just keep adding more fuel to the fire. So I think at some stage something's got to give. But for now, like for real estate agents, for brokers, for first home buyers currently in the market, it's fantastic policy.
100%.
Absolutely. And the thing is that a lot of people aren't speaking about with that first home guarantee scheme is it's not only first home buyers, it's also anyone that has been out of the property market for 10 years or more. So let's just say you went through a separation, sold your family home and have been renting for the last 10 years. You can actually qualify under that first home guarantee scheme to get back into the market as well.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Awesome insights, Jade. Thanks so much.
Jade, thank you very much for joining us, and look forward to catching up with you next week.
Thanks for having me. I'll be in the studio next week.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I'll have to wear something nice.
Yeah, and I can't wear my pink hot mess jumper.
All right. Have a good night.
See ya.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
All right, we're back. We had a bit of a long pause. Not that you would have noticed it, because our producer would have cut it out. We were trying to call Apollo Auctions, Greg Bryden. We called him 3 times. On the third time, he rejected our phone call.
His office.
He doesn't obviously want to talk about auctions today. Clearly had a bad weekend. But you know what? We don't need him.
We found the #1 auctioneer in Australia.
Best auctioneer in Australia, Kev Chokshi. So we don't need Greg from Apollo Auctions. We have Kev from Ray White. Kev, run us through what the auctions have been like in Victoria in the last couple of weeks.
Mate, auctions have been great, really strong. I think there's a high level of urgency at the moment. I've noticed that. I did a story for the Herald Sun last week, and most Sundays, if you read the Herald Sun, I do a bit of a story for them. And one of the fun facts I told them was I've noticed more people trying to secure a property prior to an auction in the last quarter than I have seen in the last year put together. And I think it's a really powerful stat because when someone tries to buy a property before an auction and cancel the auction, they're betting on the fact that the market's going to drive the price up at the auction.
Competition.
But last 2 years, they were willing to wait, and the buyer confidence was such that they'll say, well, let's just go to auction and see what happens, because they were betting on the fact that it won't go that well at auction and they might get a bargain. So that psychology has completely changed, and that's extremely noticeable out there in the marketplace. The second thing that I've noticed, obviously with the interest rates, the new first home buyer policies, just the overall hype and buzz. It's a very media-driven market too, and there's good positive media around Melbourne at the moment, and investors are returning, et cetera, et cetera. The other thing I've noticed is people want to buy something with 2025 prices, because 2026, that's going to be a different market again, and potentially more interest rate drops, where that goes, lending policies changing, all that sort of stuff. So there is definitely a level of urgency.
Yeah.
Now, old mate over here, Mr. Brent, is not a huge fan of auctions. We've actually got a thing that he was meant to have listed an auction in Lang Lang. Did he do it? No. Did he list properties in Lang Lang? Yes. Why? What would you say to a gentleman by the likes of Brent as to why you should go auction as opposed to private sale?
I'd ask him the question, have you ever made a bad decision in your life that you regret?
A bad decision in my life that I regret?
Yes, the answer is yes.
I've made a fucking heap of them. Was
have
that
they
the
been-
wrong answer?
That was a correct answer.
Oh, good.
We've all made some poor decisions. Was that poor decision made when you were in the most thoughtful space, or was
No.
it made when you were in an impulsive space?
Pressure.
That's what auctions do. Private sale just cannot physically do that.
Alright,
It's not
auctions.
possible because the headspace just doesn't exist. When you have an offer, private negotiation, sure, they might love the home, sure, the agent might be an extraordinarily great practitioner, but psychologically, it's impossible to bring someone into that headspace because they're not making an impulsive decision. They don't have the time constraints where they need to quickly make a call and then maybe later regret it. So if you're a seller, you want the buyer to you obviously want it to be a great outcome for everyone, but at the end of the day, we're employed to get the highest possible sale price for the seller.
Yep.
And if you have 2 or 3 buyers that are in that impulsive headspace, and not that they're making a bad decision, they're making a great decision because they're securing a home, but it is relatively impulsive and it is emotionally charged and it is very much with time constraints. And it's impossible to replicate that when someone's at home and they can quickly check their phone, talk to their broker, talk to their mum, talk to their cousin who thinks they're a real estate agent because they've sold once. Very, very difficult to do so.
I agree with that argument. Unlike Greg's.
You agree with Greg's as well.
Yeah,
And
but-
he's still sitting here doing private sales.
Maybe I've got more cut through.
Maybe, yeah, true.
with my approach.
Maybe.
So are you going to list an auction this week?
No, yeah, okay. No, I don't want to lie. I don't want to lie to the lads. I won't commit to you.
Why? Stop being a pussy.
Because if I say I will and then I don't, I'm going to come in here next week,
Yeah, I'm going to give you shit.
my tail between my legs,
Yeah.
and it's not being enjoyable.
So say yes
No.
and just do it.
But you list one.
I have. I listen each week.
All right, let's.
What stops you from listing an auction?
I don't know nothing.
He doesn't know how to do them.
I do know. I've done.
he's too
I've
scared
done.
of 'em.
No, I've done every auction I've had. Touchwood
You
is
know-
sold.
Until the day off an auction, it's a private sale.
100%.
So you just tell them, say, guys, is it okay with you if I put a deadline? Don't use the word auction. Is it okay if I put a deadline on your campaign so that I can create a pressure cooker and try and get everyone at the same time?
Yep.
Because I think that'll create you a good result. Most sellers will say yes. And then you say, okay,
Yeah.
we're going to do an auction deadline. But if I get really good offers, which I hope you do, we'll sell it prior, which will be a private sale. And then you're taking the fear away from it. And
Yeah.
if there's no interest, we cancel the auction. We change the strategy, whatever it may be.
My
There you go.
co-director, Nicole Miller, her house goes to auction this Sunday.
And Miller, 3 votes.
Yep, M. Miller. Bidet. All right, cool. Did Greg get called back? No, he did not. No, stuff him. You know what? Double his invoice.
Kev's the new GM of.
Yeah,
Polo.
Kev, look, thank you very much for coming on, mate. Honestly, I've actually learnt things that I'm looking forward to now putting in place to my business just from this quick chat. So I think everyone's probably got something from this conversation. Is there any lasting pearls of wisdom that you can throw out to the general audience?
if a cat dreams of becoming a lion, it must first lose its appetite for rats.
Let's go.
Yeah. All right. No more rats for dinner.
That's it. Just don't focus on the small things. Look at the bigger picture, and that should be the fuel. And just that should hopefully be enough for someone to keep hunting for the big goal. I think the biggest form of unhappiness comes from the fact that we get so hung up on the small things. Yes, of course, no one likes to lose. You lose a deal, a negotiation goes sideways, a staff member leaves and you know, you put all this soul into them and that breaks your heart. But I think the reality is, like, I'm certainly not comparing these things to rats, but the reality is you want to attack the big problems and not get too fixated on the small ones. And I think that's the best way to tackle this game. It is a long game, and consistency wins over a long run.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, mate, to sit here and talk to you tonight, and it's so lovely to meet you as well. And the first guest that I've ever wrote notes down to implement stuff into my business, mate. So thanks so much. We do.
And just reiterating, last week his girlfriend was sitting in that same chair. All right, wait. Now, this is real estate. Thank you very much, Kev. You've been a legend. Brent, until next week.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you
guys.
very much.
Cheers, lads.
Cheers.